Hey, all my fantasy football friends. Welcome to the Multiple First Dynasty Football Podcast here on YouTube. Because it's not really a podcast, it's on YouTube, but it's a show. It's a show on the YouTube here. Here, I am Tony Stoll, Stosh X on the Sleeper app, bringing you our Week 2 breakdown, your quick run through on all of the Week 2 games. We're talking about everyone who's going to be starting and sitting. We're going to be recapping this week's opening matchup of Week 2 from Thursday night there. And we're just going to be talking some fantasy football today. Thank you so much for joining us. As always, I'm joined by my friend, my buddy, my co-host, Greg Velociraptor. How are you today, sir?
It's football weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait to do this. I'm really excited for our new format here where we're going to come in on Fridays and break down the schedule. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, we want to be bringing steady content out from me and Greg are gonna put this together on Friday nights, and you should be seeing it on released on Friday evening or Saturday morning, consistently. And we want to talk about like the storylines of the week, the previous games from Thursdays, and then just talk about start sits and decisions and storylines moving in to the upcoming week. So again, thank you so much for joining us. But did you watch last night Minnesota and Detroit and I want to say Detroit because DeAndre Swift and Philly. Um, it was a good game. I really enjoyed it. It was nice seeing Swift get out there and get it done. And Minnesota kept it kind of interesting late. They were borderline getting there. Like that second Hawkinson touchdown came a little late, but it was just great having all that fantasy production. We loved seeing that.
Yeah, that was a good game for fantasy. I saw the second half of it. It was good to see Swift. It was good to see Hawkinson. Addison obviously belongs, right, and all the Philly parts up. Like that, they're clearly going to make sure Dallas Goedert is involved. I almost thought they forced it to him after he didn't get enough targets.
Yeah, he got the first catch of the game for Philly. They knew.
Yeah, and obviously AJ Brown is AJ Brown, but Devonta Smith is
game, yeah.
no, but like you're always going
to.
And then but like now Devonta Smith just as good, right? I think everything to the moon. Like Devonta Smith is a true wide receiver one, really now. I mean, it's he's not like a high end wide receiver one, but like you're not getting killed in your wide receiver one spot if it's Devonta Smith.
He's just someone you love to start and someone you love to put in there. I want to take my lumps for a second here. I really should not have advised our listeners to be drafting Quentin Johnston ahead of Jordan Addison in draft season. I had him ranked that way, and I already regret that. I just wanted to put that out there on the record. You got to admit when you're wrong if you want to analyze stuff, and that was just a bad call. Just and Johnson may still have a good year, but Addison's just gonna skyrocket. And a lesson learned long term here is I'm not so much sweating career arcs when it comes to getting rookies. It's going to be more about just who's about to go out there and do it this year or soon, and that's going to be much more impactful in the way we look at rookies for me personally moving forward.
I think it's very important. Absolutely, and we're seeing it with several rookies this year already.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get to our signature piece here. Let's do it right. Multiple first style. Let's buy high. Let's sell low. And don't cheat.
No cheating. So we're buying high and we're selling low. So we're looking at players who have shifted value recently. So someone who's trending upward, and we're going to be buying on that. We're going to keep riding that wave. And the same thing for a downtrend. And we have one player each, Greg and I each, in both of these categories. I'm going to kick us off here. My buy high right now is, I love this. I love my pick here. It's Mike Evans. Super easy selection. He was valued as the wide receiver 41 on Keep Trade Cut a week ago entering the season. He's jumped 3 spots to 38, and anyone at all, raise your hand if you think that Mike Evans is going to finish outside the top 30 this year in fantasy. That's ludicrous, assuming health, right? But Baker's going to push the ball to him. We see that with 10 targets. There were questions entering. What were we going to see? And I think with just one game, all of a sudden, tremendous confidence we can have in Mike Evans moving forward. If I'm a contender, he's someone I could definitely buy. He's probably already on a contender's roster because whoever owns him has probably been winning games forever. But Mike Evans.
Absolutely, I like that. And if he's on an older team that's ready to rebuild, maybe it got some bad injury news, and if this season's going to go bad, it's time to pull the ripcord.
Yeah.
the Aaron Rodgers team. Yeah, I think it makes sense to go for him. His value's up a little bit, but I think he's due for yet another good season. And the other thing is, like, man, I feel like the worst case scenario is you've got a year or two of spot starts after this, and
Yeah,
maybe even more than that. Maybe some consistent flex play for a couple of years after this.
he could, just on body type, be that wide receiver equivalent to what we see from like a Derrick Henry, who could really just play a long, long time and be
Yep,
productive and see a lot of volume and a lot of snaps for, you know, into their 30s. He's older
it's
than Henry,
possible.
but like that same kind of, application of thought. Who you buying, bro?
I am buying high on Nico Collins. Nico
Yes, sir.
Collins is the wide receiver 44 on Keep Trade Cut. That's up 11 spots this week. And, the bad news is you missed the Black Friday sale, but the good news is he's still on sale. That's my belief here. Um, I added a decent amount of Nico Collins during the offseason. I think he got 11 targets out of 44 attempts. He had 6 for 80. He is 6'4", 215 with speed and jumping ability. He's that guy,
Yeah,
right? And I mean, if they're going to throw the ball a lot, and he's going to be the number one receiver, and he's the wide receiver 44, and they're going to be trailing a lot, I feel like you're going to get production this year that exceeds wide receiver 44. And then because he's a third year player with day two draft capital, if he, posts a wide receiver 28 on the year,
hmm,
like his dynasty value is going to have additional rise from wide receiver 44
absolutely.
while he's putting up points for your team. That's really what we want to do. Is we want to put like $1 into the machine, get production, and then get like $1.10 back.
Love that. Yeah, that's the ideal scenario every single time. I love Nico as a buy. He's someone I've had taxied across leagues for a while, and he's a super interesting player. I'd love to see him excel. He's very fun to watch when he's getting the ball.
Mhm.
My sell low here. So we're gonna sell a downtrending player. It always feels like you're kicking a guy when he's down when we're doing this. Just like get him done. So I'm gonna kick a running back, of course, and I'm gonna pick Miles Sanders for the Carolina Panthers, the starting running back. So Mr. Sanders is currently the wide receiver, or sorry, the running back 24 on KTC, and that's down from 21 where he was entering the season. So low end RB2 that is probably just going to slowly get faded out of your lineup because that may be what's happening to him in Carolina. He did see the most volume, but his backup, Chuba Hubbard, was 9 attempts for 60 yards, and he caught a couple passes. So and that's on 36% of the snaps. We could see this shift more towards Chuba in the future. I'm not trying to say he's uber talented or anything, but the volume could move that way, especially when you think about the longevity and the health concerns Sanders has presented over the course of many seasons. Yeah, get Sanders off your roster if you can, and I like adding Chuba when possible.
Yeah, 36.7 is just a little bit away from 40, and
Hmm.
Miles Sanders at a 60-40 split with on a bad team doesn't do that much for me.
Yeah, yep.
That
They're gonna be losing.
I like that.
It's yeah, it's tough. Tough to see a lot of production coming here for him.
Absolutely, that's good. That's good. So my sell low here is Justin Fields. Justin Fields is quarterback 10 and overall player 25 on Keep Trade Cut. That's down 2 spots in the quarterback rankings and 12 spots in overall rankings this week. And I got to tell you, man, I think he's going to be very good at fantasy football this year. But
I think so too.
like,
Yeah.
I'm afraid that like a narrative is going to emerge here. Um, that like the Chicago Bears are going to have a very high pick, and he is going to lose his job, and
Yep.
then he's going to be wandering in the wilderness, and all of a sudden you're going to look back at I could get overall player 25 value out of him, and you're going to be like, "Ooh, I should have done that."
Yeah.
Like
Right.
who has more risk to him right now, Justin Fields or Tua?
It feels like Fields is riskier. I mean,
Okay,
yeah,
but like
especially with the production.
you can
Yeah.
still get Tua, right? And then
Yep.
like
Yep.
unless you're in a point per carry league, I feel like Tua has all the ceiling you could want, right? Like you can even as he's not playing great, you can see where Justin Fields could be the quarterback one, but you can see where Tua could just be the guy who throws for 56 touchdowns or whatever it is.
That's a lot. I don't know if he's throwing for
Five
56, but
5,000 yards and
yeah,
like the
yeah,
5,000 yards
and 50
and
TDs.
50 touchdowns. Yeah.
He
Well,
totally
I mean,
could
they've got
that
an extra
offense.
game than when Brady. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Tyreek Hill could do like what could Tyreek Hill do?
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm very interested. Like Tua is quarterback 9 right now, but like, could you get across to that? Could you could you get across to Richardson? Like, I'm starting to get into like that level of worry. Could you get the Richardson owner to give you something to
Yeah, I
go
think I asked you in
across?
our last one if you should swap Richardson and Field straight across. Is that something we
I,
talked
I'm
about?
I'm so yeah,
Yeah,
I'm starting to see that the voice of public opinion is changing,
yeah.
and I don't want to be in a place where I have to ride Justin Fields all the way down.
You don't want to be holding the bag on Fields. Yeah.
I don't want to be holding the
All
bag.
right, I got it.
Like I want out of the holding the bag spot, and I'm ready to go.
All right, I feel it. All right, so let's talk about some new, fresh bags to pick up out there. And by bags, I mean free waiver wire ads. So if you're watching this on Saturday, you're looking forward to a Week 2 Sunday game, Greg and I are here to tell you who to put into your waiver claims for your Saturday nights that are going to run Sunday morning or Saturday late before the games. Who are people that are worth adding? And it's a bit of more of a dynasty spin on this. That's what we're focused on here mostly. So if you're looking for redraft ads, find those somewhere else. But these are deep leagues. We're going to be talking about players here that are like 20% rostered or less across the Sleeper app. Yeah, we have a few players at each position. At the quarterback position, your deep ad this week is going to be led off with Taylor Heineke. Desmond Ritter's back up, so we've seen some struggling from Desmond Ritter as far as like a depth of target and just not able to get the ball to Drake London. And Taylor Heineke's the backup to Mr. Ritter, and he's been pretty productive. Yeah, Greg, what do you think about Heineke?
Yeah, man. If you want to win games ugly, as Arthur Smith seems to want to
Yeah.
do, Taylor Heineke seems like a decent fit. And so, like, Desmond Ritter could lose the job by getting hurt,
Yep.
right? As any quarterback could. But, like, he also could lose the job by being bad.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you could get
Two ways. Yeah.
yeah. So with any of these guys, right? Again, you throw a guy on IR, you add somebody, you cut him on Monday. You've got 2 chances to get a second half start where all of a sudden you have an asset or you have a trade piece or whatever, right? Like, oh, okay, I picked this guy up. Maybe even Ritter is questioned, or maybe even Ritter gets benched, maybe, and
Yeah.
you can go to the Ritter owner and say, hey, for a third, Heineke for a third, Heineke for a fourth, get him, turn a profit. So I like that anytime.
Heineke's not that removed from being pretty productive. I mean, in his few starts last season, he had several games of like 15 plus fantasy points, and then in 2021, he finished the season as a top 20 quarterback. He was quarterback 19. So like, if he were to get the opportunity here, he arguably is going to be in a better situation than he was in Washington. He's an interesting ad. Again, these are guys who
Absolutely.
you just pick right up, and they're
Uh-huh.
not 3% rostered across Sleeper app. Taylor Heineke.
And then
Yeah.
I think a couple other guys just
Mm-hmm.
to keep an eye out
Yep.
for.
Yep.
Uh, I think Mike White and Sam Darnold need to be guys you look for with these late ads every week because Tua is fragile and Purdy has a reconstructed elbow. And both of those appear to be places where anybody you put in there could do pretty decently.
I
And
play in
then,
a yeah. I want to touch on something. I play in a mechanics thing. I play in a few leagues where players go to free agency and they don't sit on
mhm,
waivers full time, and you probably do too. A great thing to do is on like Sunday when guys get inactive, you can dump them into your IR, and then you can just pick those free agents straight up and put them on your roster. In the one specific league where
exactly.
I've done this, I've been able to just prospect up gold so many times. I'm not going to get into anecdotes, but it's been easy money to just grab free agents directly to my roster right on Sunday morning. And these are the guys we're talking about. Mike White is like if he were to get the opportunity, if Tua were to take that hit, all of a sudden you have people dumping their entire fab to pick up Mike White. He's someone you can
Right.
trade, and he's going to be productive in the role. But Sam Darnold and Gardner Minshew are the other names we want to bring to
Yep.
your attention for that this
Very
week.
deep.
Hmm.
Yeah. And so looking at running backs, you mentioned Chuba Hubbard. I think that's a good name. That's only going to be in a shallower league. In most of the
Yeah,
deeper leagues that we play in, he's going to be rostered.
yeah.
Um,
Cordero Patterson's coming back from injury.
I think that's a name I'm very interested in because Cordero um, has two people basically who could get hurt in front of him.
Oop.
I'm almost certain that Arthur Smith is going to play two backs
Yeah.
all year,
Hmm.
just like no matter what, because he's the honey badger, right?
Yep, and that's what we look for with these types of players and you see that more and more in the NFL with these split back systems. These like one running back, one third string RB is handcuffing two separate guys at the same time, and there's a couple other names that we're going to hit with that same idea in mind. It's uh, Emmanuel Wilson. I'm pretty sure his name is Emmanuel Wilson for the
Mm-hmm.
Packers. He is on the active roster still for Green Bay. Um, Shoot, I can't bring him up. But with Aaron Jones being hurt for this week, most likely won't play. All of a sudden, Wilson could step into a role, like especially if Dylan were to take a shot. I mean, this guy could go from nothing to the Packers' number one lead back quickly. It's interesting. And then
He
yeah,
has some things that like yeah he Dylan's been bad, so like
he has been
you
bad.
kind of
Yeah,
wonder
he could just take that
you
over. Yeah.
right. They might exactly. He might get immediate opportunity and take that over. Another guy who has that potential is Pierre Strong. Um, you know, Mike Ford fumbled last week. Somebody,
Hmm.
Pierre Strong, who ended up in Cleveland, could easily end up taking that backup job away from Mike Ford. Um, a guy I'm really interested in who might be out there in some leagues is Chris Rodriguez. He's at the fringe of whether he was drafted or not in like your 12 team
2% rostered.
dynasty,
Yeah.
28, 30, 30 man rosters. Um, he's, I wonder if he could pass Antonio Gibson, and I kind of think he is the injury away guy. I don't think Antonio Gibson is really the injury away guy right now. It doesn't look like that's what they want to do with him. I'm
Rodriguez is
concerned.
listed as RB2 on Sleeper, so take
Yeah,
that for what you
like
want. Yeah, and he's only
so
2% rostered, so he's probably worth it if you have 12 bench spots to just pick this dude up.
these are guys to scour for.
Yeah, yeah,
Mike Boone.
yeah.
Mike Boone played a lot of snaps this last week, right? He had surprisingly high snap share, and
Third of the snaps. Yeah.
like he's out there on and so is he a Damian Pierce injury away? I don't know. Do I really want to start him? I don't really want to start him, but if
No.
he gets named, but in these leagues where
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
starting three wide receivers
Hmm.
and two flexes, if they say he's going to be Mike's going to be our starting running back, like you're going to feel okay throwing him out there in your flex too, if he's the starter. So go do these wide receivers. Hey, look, it's a mess in Kansas City. It's also a mess in New York with the Giants. If the last guys on the roster there, like Justin Watson or Justin Ross, are out there, those are guys to add at the last minute. I don't know who it would be in New York.
Uh,
Maybe Sterling Shepard. He
yeah.
might be out
Hmm.
waiver wires. But I could easily see him being the guy who gets 10 targets next
Hmm.
week. And how about Josh Reynolds? Josh Reynolds looked like the second best wide receiver on Detroit. I think Detroit's going to have a bit of a party this week. So he's a good name. And some tight ends. Noah Gray may have hit your waiver wire if with the news that Kelsey's probably going to play. But keep an eye out for that. And Donald Parham is another guy who might be out there still. Those are some deep speculative ads for us.
Yeah, if I'm the Kelsey owner, I probably want to kind of keep an eye on Gray. At least keep him on my watch list, right? It's kind of interesting
Mm-hmm.
there. But yeah, man, that's those are guys just to look for. All right, thank you so much for keeping with us so far. Hit like, hit subscribe, leave a comment, let us know who you could be picking up right now that you're excited, who's almost completely free. You're excited about in the future. I'm curious to know who you guys are adding and share it with our other listeners. Thank you so much. But we're gonna get into breaking down the fantasy relevant options for all of our games here in week too. We're gonna check the boxes on all of them and then just kind of just discuss who we like, who we don't like in each of the games moving forward. Try and quick hit every single one of them. But starting in the 1 o'clock window, first game up, we got Green Bay and Atlanta.
Yeah. So, and I'm mostly thinking about start tens, start 9-10.
Yeah, yeah,
So I think obvious guys here are going to be Bijan, Watson if he plays, Jones if he plays.
yeah.
I think you can start Love with high confidence as a super flex, your QB2. I feel pretty good about Musgrave in this matchup. Hayden Hurst did well last week against Atlanta, and Musgrave had great route participation. And I want to avoid playing Desmond Ritter if at all possible. I think in the kinds of leagues we're talking about, you really don't have the option to sit Pitts or London, do you?
No, not most of them. I mean, in like your hometown redraft, little like start five type deals or whatever. As far as skill guys go, you could sit them, but no. I mean, if you're starting 5 or 6 wide receivers, it's hard to sit Drake London or Kyle Pitts, especially considering what you probably paid for them.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that like the baseline league me and Greg playing is what, like start 10, start 11 across all the
Right.
with Superflex and everything, 10, 11, and so that I would call that a deeper league for the most part. And then you got like super deep leagues would be like start 14, start 15, and then your average leagues are like your 9, 8, 9, 10 in there. To give you some
Yeah, so
context. Yeah.
London is at the fringe of where you could sit him in at start
Yeah.
10.
Mhm.
Like I'm not feeling great about London until we see it more because Arthur Smith is the honey badger. Tyler Algier is a comfy running back 3.
Oh yeah.
If you went hero RB with Bijan Robinson and you thought, hey, I'm gonna handcuff that with Tyler Algier, man, you can just play them both. I
You're
think
great.
for a
Yeah,
while.
you're set up. Yep. How do you feel about Dubs this week? He's healthy. He was cleared, carrying no injury designation. I feel
Then
like
I'm pretty happy I'm starting him.
yeah,
Yeah, I think he's an obvious guy right now.
I'm starting him in like all my 3 wide formats, and then, like we're saying, yeah, Las Vegas at Buffalo. Gonna be some points here in this one. Geez, what's the over under on this bad boy? 47. Love that with the Raiders at the Bills here on Sunday at 1 o'clock. So you're starting all your main guys. You got Josh Allen, you got Stephon Diggs, you got Devontae Adams, Josh Jacobs in. I'm actually potentially sitting Josh Jacobs in a league. Look at this. Can you see my screen right? You can see this. All right, we're starting. We got to start 4 running backs. We got 5 to choose from. This is going to be great. We got Bijan, we got Jameer Gibbs, we got Derrick Henry, Tony Pollard, and we got Josh Jacobs. Who am I sitting out of that group?
Oh,
right
I'm
now?
sitting Gibbs until further notice, man.
That's what I was thinking too. I was thinking that too.
I mean, he had a 25% running back rush share.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm not sitting Gibbs in many circumstances,
No,
but
this is
that's
crazy.
But that is one of them.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just wanted to take a look at this. All right, but interesting decisions coming to you because I'm playing in 30 cash leagues this year almost, and we're in it. We're in the thick of it, and I want you guys, our listeners, to know that we're making these choices and we're bringing you our thought process coming into it. This Las Vegas and Buffalo game, Gabe Davis, how you feeling about him?
I think this is a decent spot for a Gabe Davis spot start. If depends on your build. Again, like at this depth, I have a couple. I don't have a ton of Gabe Davis left. I feel like I cashed out a lot of my profit, but I got a bit of it left, and he's at the fringe of where I want to start him this week.
Yeah.
I think this is a decent shot for him to be the game. I think there's a chance that they pummel Las Vegas because they're mad.
Mm-hmm.
And if that happens, Gabe Davis might have 4 for 102.
Yes, sir.
So
James
that.
Cook, we love him. Dalton
Love
Kincaid,
him.
more likely is or is not a tight end 1 this week, a top 12 tight end. Dalton Kincaid is or is not one.
More likely not.
Yeah, true.
But I
was gonna think you were gonna say
the thing about
in.
tight end is of the top 12 in any given week, there's 4 or 5 that are out of nowhere guys.
Yeah.
Because the scoring is low and they catch a touchdown and it is what it is, right? But
12
nobody
and 20 are separated by 1 point.
Right. Nobody played Blake Bell.
Yeah.
Right. All the guys, nobody played a lot of the nobody tight ends who finished number 1 last week.
True.
And so I think the thing is Kincaid is fine amongst the guys you kind of have expectation for.
Yep.
So yeah, I don't love Dalton Kincaid until I see it, but it's okay. It's definitely okay. Um, and then for your deeper leagues, with Jacoby Myers out, this could be a chance for Hunter Renfrow to actually get on the field.
Yes, sir. And he's been productive with it too. So I mean, interesting. I'd have to be in like a 12 or 13 starter to play him. But yes, we got Baltimore and Cincinnati. Nice AFC North matchup. Baltimore at Cincinnati. We've been looking forward to this one. I'm excited to watch this game. What's our over under on this bad boy? 46 and a half. We enjoy seeing that.
Yep.
You're starting all your main dudes. Lamar and Burrow, two quarterbacks in. Cincy players, we got Jamar, we got Higgins in Mixon. You're playing him. Irv Smith, he caught the ball a couple times. Nah, I don't like it at all. Don't want really anything to do with that. Any other Cincy pass catchers we care about?
So let's just say on the Cincinnati side, I
Yeah.
think the only, I think you start your main guys. I'm a little hesitant about Tyler Boyd until I see the bounce back game from Burrow. But if you need to in a deeper league, this is a guy who has put up wide receiver 3 numbers as the wide receiver 3 in this offense.
Mm-hmm.
So like, it's boring, but you can go to it in your deeper spots. Irv Smith is for me more of a 2 tight end league,
Yeah.
or like, oh, my team is great everywhere, but I can't solve this black hole at tight end. And
It's through Irv out there. He's as good as any other bad
yeah,
option.
like he did get a few targets, and I think the offense will be a lot better. How
Mm-hmm.
about that? On the other side of the ball,
Baltimore.
I don't think we know yet what you can and can't start, but like if in these start 11, start 12, I think a guy who will either be the 60 side or the 40 side of a 60-40 split. You can kind of start either one, and that's Hill or Edwards. I think you can go either way.
Yeah.
You can start them both. We may find out in a week or two that you couldn't, but I think in the deeper formats, it's worth a shot. In your shallower formats, it was a good idea to roster them and then wait and see unless you're desperate.
Yeah, it's you're gonna be wrong with whichever one you pick out of Hill and Edwards. If you dump massive fab on one, don't feel obligated to start that player. You know, Dobbins isn't coming back, so we need to let this kind of happen more. We need to learn
Mm-hmm.
more about what this Ravens offense is gonna look like.
Exactly.
Ravens pass catchers.
I think Zay Flowers is now basically an auto start. He
Yes,
has
sir.
crashed your lineup.
Oh yeah.
You're not even thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you start Andrews if he plays because of
Yep.
the way tight end works, right? Like,
Yep.
even if he only plays 15 snaps, I'm going to take that over like some guy. You know what I mean? Like
Isaiah
you
likely.
yeah, you'd have to just have. I happen to have Fryermuth.
Mhm.
Like if you were in one of those
Oh, I have
situations,
Laporta, who I drafted late or
or
something. Yeah.
yeah, or like I start Andrews and Goddard every week, so I play Goddard in the
Tight end spot.
tight end spot, and I have some flex
Ooh,
options.
interesting. Unique
Right,
scenario.
like
Love
yeah. Then maybe,
it.
but like if this is your tight end and you play it, you just play Andrews. Um,
All right.
and I think that's about it. Moving on from that game,
Yes, sir.
Seattle, Detroit over Seattle at Detroit. Over under is 47. Detroit puts up a lot of points at home. Seattle and Detroit played last year and put up a lot of points. I am pro all the Lions at their likely spot on your roster. I mean, you just made a liar out of me with Gibbs, but like I'll play
You're
Gibbs
fine.
in most
That was
spots.
a crazy team. Yeah.
I'll play Gibbs in most spots. I'm very high on Montgomery. Give me Amon Ra. Give me Laporta. Give me Goff. Goff is my quarterback 2 by Superflex. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I am scared to play any Seahawk other than Walker. I think we're going to see a lot of Ken Walker. You probably have to start Metcalf and Lockett. I have to start Metcalf and Lockett everywhere I have them except for one 10-team league where Metcalf is super optional for me. But I don't like it, and I'm really trying not to start Gino where I have him.
Yep. I mean, I'm a little bit more bullish on the Seahawks side of this. I think you could start confidently start the Seahawks receivers just because the over under and the dome and Detroit's lack of a very good pass defense and I don't know like it's is Aiden Hutchinson going to terrorize Geno? I mean, ask yourself that. I mean, if he is, then maybe it's bad for Seattle all day. And if he doesn't, if they contain him somehow, then all of a sudden all these other fantasy options on Seattle's side could eat. It's tough because Seattle's challenges on the O line, but a lot of the other ancillary conditions here are set up for the Seattle weapons to be productive.
Yeah, but like
But I see it. But like
Seattle
the
was
eye
so
test
bad.
says Seattle in.
Seattle was so bad last
Yeah,
week.
I get it, man.
Um,
Hey, I'm there with you.
yeah, I just want to say also you cannot play Zach Charbonnet. Like
No.
you may have played him last week in your deep formats,
Mhm.
your deep dynasty formats, or your zero RB builds. You cannot play him at all this week.
Yeah, Charbonnet's tough in redraft because people drafted him, and now he's just gonna camp your bench for a while unless something happens. Yeah, moving
I'm
on
pretty sure
here.
I cut him in my one of my
I do
redrafts.
too. Yeah.
I,
Another AFC matchup. We got the Chargers at the Titans. Justin Herbert's LA Chargers going to Tennessee to take on Ryan Tannehill, who looked terrible. We're not playing Tannehill because of what he showed us last week. We like Herbert. We like Keenan Allen. We like Eckler. We like Mike Williams. Derrick Henry, and is DeAndre Hopkins going to play? Is the first thing that comes to mind here.
yeah, I mean, but I think you probably play him if he
If he
does.
plays, you play him. Do we like
Yeah,
Treylon
and just
Burks?
obviously Eckler if he
Yeah.
plays. I'm playing Burks.
Yep.
I'm playing Burks. I think Burks is a big player. Listen, I'm not playing Burks in my shallower leagues, but I think there's a decent chance he led the team in routes. He didn't get as many targets as Hopkins, but he played all the snaps. He's the wide receiver too.
Yep.
Tannehill was terrible. But like I also feel like he's the kind of guy who can make his day on a single play, and I do expect a bit of a track meet here. I think this is going to go up and down the field. I think the Chargers are going to win pretty decently. Um, but I think Tennessee might get some. Tennessee will either stay in the game or get some garbage points. Is how I think this is.
Sure. Yeah, no, I can definitely see that. Yeah, I'd be willing to start Treylon if I had him. I don't own that many shares. Starting Hopkins if he's playing, obviously. I don't know.
I think you can play. I think you can play Tajay Spears in your start 11 leagues as that last flex.
Yeah. Would you?
I think
Yeah.
there may be some dump off game that's really nice today, and then guys, Josh Kelly has to go all the way. Like Josh Kelly really overthrows a lot of your plans. You're like, oh well, this is my locked in running back too. It's like no, like Miles Sanders. Like no, Miles Sanders to your bench if Austin Eckler doesn't play.
Oh
and
yeah.
you're Josh Kelly, right? Like you might have a lot of those situations where you're like, should I bench this guy for Josh Kelly? And the answer is probably yes, you should, if Austin Eckler doesn't play.
The two tight end options are neither of my ideal choices this week. I like other dudes more. Yeah, moving on. Chicago and Tampa Bay, the NFC matchup here. Interesting matchup with these two quarterbacks, Fields and Baker. The Bears on the road. Yeah, we like the Tampa Bay defense here against Fields. We're going to probably see some turnovers out of that. Let's keep talking about the Tampa Bay side. I like Baker as a QB2. I think you could start him above of like a Tannehill or another QB you want to get a Ritter.
I think you could. I think you could start him above.
Yeah.
The rookies. I think you can start him above Bryce Young.
Mm-hmm.
I think you can start him above C.J. Stroud right now.
Totally.
I think you could. So there are guys out there where Baker in this match. I think Justin Fields gives teams short fields. Justin Short Fields. That's what they should call him.
First nickname. He's not that short, but he's Justin Short Fields now. Yeah. Love it.
Yeah, but like I feel like Tampa Bay may just be better than we think.
Yeah.
And Baker may be okay, and he's got really good weapons. And so there are a bunch of guys who I would consider. If I had a mediocre quarterback too, I would consider. Let's as we go down the list, let's consider the Baker question as we look at some of the other quarterbacks. You probably have to play DJ Moore, but I don't feel good about it.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have some leagues where I could sit him, but yeah, you do probably have to play him. I don't like any of the other Chicago pass catchers except maybe Komet. Um, yeah,
Mooney had good volume. Like in a deep league, he
mhm,
might be an option for you. I think Rashad White is fine. I know there was some
yep,
alarm. I'm not worried about it until I see anybody else get volume or do anything with it, because like Tucker played way behind him and late and wasn't good with it either. So like whatever, you
hmm
know.
yeah. And then the only last thing would be the Bears' backfield. So like, what do you do with any of this? I mean, Roshan played more of the snaps. I'm sorry,
But
Herbert. I was
Roshan,
about to say
Herbert got more snaps. Roshan got all the targets, but Roshan's snaps came late in garbage time.
yeah.
If this is a closer game, do we see less Roshan? I don't really want to play any of these
No,
guys.
I don't. I just want Herbert to,
I
or I
do
want
have
someone to
some
separate
teams where I have
themselves.
to.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I do have some teams where I have to,
Yeah.
where I've played hero RB, and it's like, well, I've got, I'm starting six receivers in three receivers and three flexes,
Yeah.
and I've got
Got-
Bijan,
yeah.
and like who's my running back two,
hmm
and it's like, and it's this is Herbert, and it's
Yeah.
Khalil Herbert,
Yeah.
and and it's like it's okay enough. It's like it's a guy. That's it.
All right, yeah, let's keep it rolling here. We're going to take a look at this beautiful AFC matchup, potential playoff primer coming from the Kansas City Chiefs and the Jacksonville Jaguars. We're going to see hopefully a return to action from Travis Kelsey. Obviously, you start Patrick Mahomes in all formats every time forever because he's the absolute Superman. I don't want to start any of the Chiefs receivers. Let's just start there. I mean, I don't want to. If I had to pick one, I like Kadarius Toney the most still. I'm sorry. Um,
I'll play
uh, but
Rice
I
of
don't want to play
them.
any of them. It wouldn't surprise me if Justin Watson led the team in fantasy points from the receiver position this week.
Yeah, I think anything could happen.
Yeah,
Anything could happen.
anything could happen.
I will say, if Kelsey were to miss, I would play Noah Gray pretty
Yeah, I
comfortably.
would too. Do we like anyone from Kansas City's backfield? I mean, Pacheco.
Yeah,
I'm starting him
I'm
regularly.
certainly
He's in most of my RB2s.
certainly in on Pacheco. Yeah,
Mm.
I don't want to play McKinnon
Or
until I see
Clyde.
anything.
Yeah, I don't want to play either
Don't
of
want
those
to play
two.
Clyde. No.
No.
To me, the sort of questionable thing that is most obvious and most important to notice about this game is that you should definitely play Zay Jones, right? Like this is going to be a shootout. Zay Jones is on the field all the time. Um, he got plenty of targets last week. I, he's an easy start for me. I don't think you can play Tank Bigsby at this time. Can you play Christian Kirk?
I don't know, man. I have that decision in a lot of leagues. I don't know what I'm doing with him. It's like, I mean, here we'll go back to this league I was looking at earlier with the five RBs. We'll keep it in house. I have Christian Kirk. We got Chris Olave, Brandon Ayuk, and then I could do Kirk, Juju, or Hollywood Brown. That was my decision. Hollywood. So basically Hollywood Brown or Kirk. So I think Juju's out of that.
I'm gonna play Hollywood. I'm gonna
Yeah,
play
and then I
Hollywood.
got Van Jefferson too. I was scared because the quarterback. I don't know.
Nope.
I'll play Hollywood. I'll
I'm
do it
play
right now on your recommendation. There it goes.
he's the yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, it's
But
wide
can you
receiver
play him? I
one.
don't know. As a wide receiver three, I guess you could try with Kirk. I
I
mean,
can't.
no, you
No,
can't
you
play him.
can't
You
play him
can't
as a
play
wide
him until
receiver.
he does something. You can't. Don't burn yourself.
No,
Take him
no.
out until he actually does a thing.
In your
Official
start
advice.
14, you can play Kirk.
Yeah.
Not yeah. Um, yeah. So okay, next game.
There we go.
Indy at Houston.
hmm
Indy at Houston. Fire up your A. Rich, your Pittman, your Pierce. I think those are the only auto starts here. I think Zach Moss is a great running back light weekly play. I think for your zero RB, hero RB teams, if you've scrounged up Zach Moss, until such time as Jonathan Taylor is in uniform, I think Zach Moss is going to be a very good play, and for those kinds of builds, and be happy about it. And then you can play Nico Collins. You can play Robert Woods. I think there's going to be a lot of volume, and in your start 10, start 11 leagues, um, you can play those two guys for sure. And I don't want to play anybody else. I really don't want to play CJ
Yeah.
Stroud.
I don't want to play Dalton Schultz either. Again, I like a lot of the
I
tight
don't
end
want to play Dalton
targets more.
Schultz.
I almost made Jonathan Taylor my sell low this week. I just want to throw that out there. He's been plummeting, obviously, but like if you could just, if you're someone who's trying to win games this year or something, anyone, and you could maybe sell Taylor to someone who's trying to contend, who thinks they're so loaded they could make that leap. But like Taylor might not play, and if there's still a sell window in your league, you might want to explore it. So heads up on that because he's still like trading at like a top 50 player value. So moving on here, we got the Niners and the Rams, San Francisco 49ers and the Los Angeles Rams. We're going to be in LA here. Yeah, so let's start in the San Francisco start. We love Purdy, we love McCaffrey, we love Kittle, Debo, Ayuk, all in. There's no other 49ers I would play.
Nope.
Easy enough there. And the Ram side, Stafford, what are you doing with him in your Superflex leagues?
Okay, it's a tough spot. He looked great last week. So
Yep.
what I thought here is this is like an at your own risk thing. Like he might be your best option. 2 years ago, Stafford was good enough that he could get things done, but like against any defense. But like this I believe in Stafford for 2023, but this is a tough spot.
Yeah.
Does he pass the Baker test?
Does he pass the Baker test? So he's playing. Good questions. No, I don't think so. I think I take Baker Mayfield against the Bears defense.
Okay.
Put me on the record there. I don't know. It might be burned because we're at
I don't
home
think
in LA.
it's terrible. It's close
But
to
I'm taking Baker Mayfield here. Who you got? You got Stafford? Are we going head to head on this?
No, yeah, I'll take Baker with you actually.
All right, we got Baker, so it's either
I think
yeah,
he's on that side.
it's all in or all out, baby.
It's close. I don't love either one. I don't love saying Baker, but I do like it enough this week.
All right, Rams backfield. Who you like the most there? Kyren, Cam.
I'm happy to play Kyren. I'm happy to play Puka. Cam and Tutu are like desperate starts.
Yeah, Cam Akers, a running back, Tutu Atwell, the 5'8" wide receiver. Although he had a large game, I'm staying away from Tutu. I'm starting Puka. There was a league where things aren't going very well, where I put Puka from my taxi into my wide receiver 1 position. So that happened this week.
Yeah, I'm staying with Puka for sure. I believe Kyren. Here's the thing. I think Kyren is a little bit game script independent here. Like he'll be okay even if the team's bad and trailing. Like he'll get some late run. Yeah.
Is Van Jefferson playable?
No,
he's out. Van or Kirk? Who you got? I'll take Van.
Kirk.
I'll play more snaps.
I'll play Choo over Kirk.
Or you play Tutu
over Van.
You play Tutu over both of them.
I would play Choo over Van Jefferson. I'd probably play Choo over both of them.
Yeah, that's interesting. There you go. All right. Moving on. We got more NFC action for you. We've got the New York Giants visiting. Who was it? Peter King called the Arizona Cardinals the league's biggest patsy the other day on Mike Florio's show, and that made me laugh because now the Giants get to go into Arizona and beat them up, and they're in desperate need of a bounce-back game after what happened to them against Dallas on Sunday night. So I do like my Giants players in a bit of a revenge type scenario here. Daniel Jones, I'm playing him in my Superflex leagues. Saquon obviously in there. Waller's in there. I'm not playing any of my Giants wide receivers other than Darius Slayton in deep leagues. I will play Slayton in a deeper league. That's just me personally. I like him a little bit.
He led the team in targets. He tied for the team league in routes and snaps.
Led the team in targets with 5. Struggle.
Yeah.
That was an awful game.
But so like if they get a revenge game and he leads the team in targets with 10,
I don't know what.
You're gonna have a happy week.
Get right game.
Yeah. You don't know who's gonna do it, but he would be my best bet. So like if you are in a deep league, I don't hate it, but it is a deep league play. On the other side, it's Hollywood, it's Connor, and I think it's Zach Ertz in some spots, and I'm not happy about any of it, but like, I think the volume will be there.
Yeah, no McBride, no Rondell Moore, no Michael Wilson, no other Cardinals running backs. Don't start Josh Dobbs if you care. In my Superflex leagues, I'm playing a lot of skill position players ahead of a Josh Dobbs. So just don't even put him out there. You're going to have some guy score touchdowns on your bench you wish you took a shot on. Yeah. We got Washington at Denver. We got the Washington Commanders.
Skip Jets at Dallas.
Did I skip one? Oh my God, I'm sorry. Let's moving on ahead here. All right, we got the Jets at the Cowboys. Yeah. Who do we like? We like Garrett Wilson to start.
I think you have to. I think you probably have to start both of those guys.
I'm starting Garrett Wilson. I mean, he was fine last year with a bad quarterback. He just wasn't. He's not going to give you what you drafted, but you definitely are playing him every week. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, although I just will say, like I think it would be pretty hilarious if Zach Wilson was great. Um, but like Garrett Wilson was not good when Zach Wilson started last year.
Yeah.
He
Okay.
was much better when other guys started. Um, like I don't necessarily think those other guys were even that much better than Zach Wilson. I just think he does not hyper target Garrett Wilson for some reason. So we'll see if that changes.
Yeah, yeah, I'm excited to see what Zach Wilson. There's this interesting cloud lingering over the situation, which is like, did Rodgers like groom Wilson enough in 3 months or 4 months to really help him? Like, so you know what I mean? Did that happen? I think
Seems
is an
crazy.
interesting narrative. I don't think it does seem crazy, but we're gonna see it. Um, on the Dallas side of the ball here. So Dak and Superflex. I mean, does he pass the Baker test? What do you think, Baker or
Yes.
Dak? Yeah, I think you play
Yes.
Dak for sure. CeeDee Lamb and Tony Pollard are must starts. I think you have to temper your expectations a little bit, but they're players you have to play. Brandon Cooks is dealing with his MCL sprain. I'm preparing that Brandon Cooks will not play. He may, and in the event that Cooks moves out, Michael Gallup becomes interesting to me. He moves into like a dart throw,
Mm-hmm.
like wide receiver 3 territory, where I'd be fine playing him.
Mm-hmm.
Even with Cooks in, Gallup's like, again, just interesting, just less in that scenario.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
And I like Ferguson. He's one of my favorite darts at tight
Yep.
end. Probably my favorite, maybe. Yeah. Yeah.
You can't play Dalvin Cook.
No, I don't think you can play Dalvin Cook. I want him out of there. Jets, no other Jets pass catchers. I mean, yeah, there's nothing to be had there. Is there a buy window on Zach Wilson right now? I don't think so.
Mm, I mean, I'm not really buying here.
No,
Um,
not before this game.
Washington at Denver. Let's
Yeah.
move on.
Hmm.
Washington at Denver. I think this is going to be a low scoring game. Over under is like 36 and a half.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Uh, I like Javante. I like Brian Robinson. I like Samaje Perine. Um, I don't love playing Jerry Judy's first game back because those hamstrings, man, like in these start 11s, you have a real decision when you look at a guy like that because he's probably way better than the next guy up. But I look at that and I think there is a 20% chance that he goes out there and like in the first quarter, it's a little
Just
tweaky tweak
yep,
and it's
yep.
2 more weeks and you
Packs
just
it
took
in.
a 0.
Yeah.
First target, you know, that I'm trying to find a way not to play Jerry Judy, although I think he will play well if he plays the whole game in this situation.
I'm not playing
You
Judy at
probably
all.
have
I hear you. Sorry, listening. Good.
not at all, not even in your deeper leagues.
I mean, yeah, and deeper. And if you have to, and he's active, you do. But like, I'm in a. He's not in my top 3 wide receivers on most of my teams, so and healthy. I'm trying to avoid playing him.
All right, and then you probably have to play Sutton, Dotson, and McLaurin in your start 10, start
Yep.
11s. But I'm not real excited about any of those things.
Yeah. Do we like Sam Holland, Superflex? I think we
Nope,
do.
I don't.
No. Okay.
Nope.
Howell or Baker? You like Baker?
Baker.
Okay.
Yep. I'll
All right.
probably play Baker over both these quarterbacks.
Yeah. All right. A game I'm looking forward to watching this week is we're gonna hit that right now. It's Miami at New England. I love these divisional matchups, and we saw New England like step up and play a more aggressive brand of football with Mac Jones's 52 attempts last week, and we know what Miami brings to the table. We're gonna see a really interesting game with Tua and the Dolphins going in to Foxborough to play the Patriots. 40 point or 46 and a half point over under. One of the better ones on the week. It's near the top. It's going to be some points. Most of it's going to be on Miami side. You start Tua, you start Hill, you start Waddle, you start Mostert. That's Miami. New England, you start Stevenson, you start Henry. You start Mack and Superflex.
He passes the Baker test.
Oh, definitely Mack over Baker. Yeah, I think so.
So we've seen how many quarterbacks are not passing the Baker test. So like,
we like Baker. He's in
so
there.
I think we like the Def Mac is like a mid like quarterback 2 this week for you. I like
Patriots wide receivers. What are you doing with any of them?
I might throw a dart on Bourne, but
Yeah.
I'm trying to avoid it. I will say the other name here that we didn't mention. I think you can play Durham Smythe in like a tight end premium. I think you could get 6 targets again, and if you're getting that 1.5 PPR per target, I think you could do okay. with him. Certainly, I think in your two tight end leagues or whatever,
Yeah.
he's a nice start. I'm pretty pleased with him. So anyway,
No, I have
that's
Smythe rostered in most, and actually a lot of my two tight end leagues. He is interesting. Yeah, 6 targets last week. I'm 3% rostered on sleeper. Just if you're in a two tight end league, just scoop this guy up because he might be out there. Yeah, what do we got? New Orleans at Carolina. NFC South matchup. Low over under, but it's going to be outside in decent weather. So interesting there. I'm going to look for the Saints to just kind of beat on the Panthers, and I think the over under reflects that. Your Saints players across the board, I'm firing pretty much all of them up.
yep.
I like the three main pass catchers from New Orleans here. Obviously Olave, MT, and then Shaheed. I'd feel confident playing any one of those three. Shaheed in like a wide receiver three type role for my team, flex role, deeper league
Uh,
role.
yep.
Yeah,
Juwan Johnson's a
Juwan
guy you can
Johnson,
play.
fire him up, absolutely. Derek Carr
Hmm.
is high end
Yep.
QB2, low end
Yep.
QB1.
For this
Um,
week for sure. Jamal Williams.
Jamal Williams, he didn't
Uh,
do anything with his like 80% snap share or whatever it was last week,
don't
but I
care. Yep.
think that
Do it
changes.
again.
You just play him. Carolina side, do we like anyone at all in our fantasy lineups?
Bryce Young does not pass the Baker test for me.
No.
Um, the guy I like is Hayden Hurst. I think Hayden. Who was it last week that played New? Somebody had good production against them last week. Anyway, I
Yeah.
like Hayden Hurst to be the guy to have a decent day here. Miles Sanders, you know,
Hmm.
sure, sure, right?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, if you have to. I mean, if you have to. If I have to pick a receiver from Carolina, I'm just going to go with old reliable Adam Thielen because he's on the field a lot and he knows how to work against zones and mans and get open and help quarterbacks that are in trouble, which none of these other receivers on the team that are going to be active, I can really say that about. If you have to play one of these guys, Thielen, and I am starting him in a five receiver league. He's my wide receiver five.
There
Yeah,
you go.
there we go, baby.
Is that the one I'm the commissioner of?
Uh,
Might be.
yeah.
I don't know how many five receiver leagues you have. Um,
No, this, yeah, it's a different one actually. I
okay.
think it's this guy right here. No, no, no. I'll bring it up. I got you. Here we go.
Uh,
Adam Thielen, Adams, Ayuk, Thielen, Dubs, and Slayton. We're starting them up, firing up. Look at this tight end premium league. We got Andrews and Kelsey. It's pretty sick.
that's pretty sweet.
All right,
That's sweet. Um, let's finish it out.
let's go, baby. I'll take this one. All right, we got the last game of the week, Monday Night Football, primetime action. We got your boy, the Cleveland Browns, are playing against the Pittsburgh Steelers on Monday Night Football. I am super duper stoked to watch this game. The
Yep.
only player who I like in this game and feel great about, like feel good about starting, is Nick Chubb. There's not a single player who I really feel have like elite expectations for. The so let's go Brown side first. Watson passes the Baker test. I don't really own him anywhere, but you start him if you have him for the most part. I see him as a low end QB1, high end QB2. Browns receiver is the only one you feel good about is Cooper. Njoku's playable among other tight end darts.
Hmm.
Elijah Moore's seen some buzz. I'd like to see more out of him before I put him out there in my fantasy lineups.
Yeah, I think you can play DPJ in some spots too,
I think you
for
could.
sure.
You could take a dart on either of them. I personally like Don Peoples-Jones to come out of that eventually, but whatever. We'll see. And interesting story on the Brown side I'm looking for is like we talked about earlier, does Pierre Strong step up and take Jerome Ford's role as the number two back? I think he could do that. So I like that as a person to add. Steelers side, Kenny Pickett, probably playing him in Superflex. We got
I does he pass the Baker test
yes.
with Deontay Johnson out against? I'm not sure he does for me with Deontay Johnson out. That's a big blow.
My big
Uh,
concern in the Steelers side is I don't know that Pickens is going to be great. I think he's been put a lot of people put a lot of pressure on, a lot of expectation is being put on Pickens here, and I think the Browns could potentially just blanket him, and he could actually struggle, as the one receiver here potentially. And I think the other side of that is if he does have a great game on Monday Night Football on this national stage with that narrative, if he does have a big game, you might see him just get in a spaceship and go nuts into like the top 10 receiver territory or something. So
yeah,
it's neat with him.
Yeah, I think you're probably playing Fryermuth wherever you have him.
Hmm.
You probably are going to be fine with Najee Harris, but you're not going to love it.
Yeah.
Um, and I do want to, yeah, I think you can throw a dart at Calvin Austin, who got 6 targets last week, despite playing less snaps than he's going to play this week. And they really need somebody to do the Deontay Johnson work, and I don't think that's Allen Robinson,
I mean,
and I don't think that's George Pickens.
he got
And
8 targets. It's what do you do with A Rob? I mean, he's just. I mean, he's wide receiver 3, right, for the week. No, 4 maybe.
for I mean, you can play him in these very deep formats. Um, he's in the Robert Woods mold in these very deep formats.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
But I'd rather play Robert Woods.
Hmm.
But he's there. I think what's more interesting is that some of these guys, like Calvin Austin's a guy who might be available on waivers, right? So there's
Could be. Yeah.
in some of your dynasty leagues, right? And that's I think the end of our games.
That's every game, baby. We did it. We did a whole under an hour rundown with a buy sell. Great work, Greg. You did a great record today, man. I just want to get that on the record here. Put the receipt
Aw,
out there. All right. Thank you so much for staying with us here, guys.
okie dokie.
Comment, like, subscribe. Let us know what you think of our breakdowns of the week here. If we left anything out and you missed any narratives, let me know, man, because I want to hit all the good points. Again, thank you for joining us, and have a good night.